Hey, what's going on? Welcome to Strange Talk with Doc. Hope everything is going good with you. Excuse me, and I hope everything is going well with yours. Now, the topic of discussion or the title of this show is Men Under 45 Years Old Can't Fight Worth Shit. Now, I am generalizing, okay? So I am not saying all men under 45 cannot fight. And I'm not just talking about physical fighting. So once again, I'm not generalizing. I know that every generation says their generation is tougher than the generation that was after them. We understand that. I am getting to the point that this generation here, well, this generation of men under the age of 45, and there's no one basket I'm going to put anybody in because there are enough men under 45 years old who can throw down. I mean, mentally, physically, emotionally, and this is what we're talking about here. You know what I mean? But everybody, like I said, is going to say the generation that came after them is softer. They don't have as much heart. You know, I know that. But we can look at YouTube. We can look at the world in general and see that men have lack of technique. They have lack of proper stance skills. They can't even throw a proper punch anymore. I try to figure out what all these thugs doing when they go to jail and they have to rely on maybe hand skills. I mean, where the hell is their self-defense? Nowadays, everybody just postures around. They look like roosters, chickens, talking, a lot of wordplay. You know, my generation, we slapbox. Slapbox taught you how to throw knuckles. I don't know if young guys slapbox because it might lead to somebody getting their feelings hurt. And we also know that after the 1980s, we went to the gun generations. Guys did not settle things with their fists. No more meet me after school. This shit was happening now. It's happening during class. Innocent people being shot down like dogs. I mean, for no reason. My day, you would get your fucking chin checked. Okay? You ran your mouth, you get your chin checked. You get a fair one. I don't even know if a fair one exists anymore. You got to get down and dirty. You got to show that you have heart. Your heart does not pump Kool-Aid. These kids seem like their hearts pump Kool-Aid. I guess that's why it takes so long for the first punch to be thrown. And listen, as a grown man who knows what I'm talking about, the last thing that I am saying is that I want to see two adult men throwing punches at each other's heads because one punch can change the other. Well, put it this way, one punch by either man can change both their lives forever. One can end up in prison because he murdered somebody. A punch land to the right place, you get knocked out, you hit your head on the concrete, you die. That other person is now at least manslaughter, second degree murder. And then you got somebody dead. So I'm not advocating fighting, but the ability to be able to protect yourself when you have no weapon but the ones that God gave you. That's your hands, your feet, your elbows, your shoulders, your knees. These are things that we have to learn to be able to use. And it seems like other than MMA world, it's not happening anymore. You know, in my day, people told you if you were scared, go buy a dog. You know what I mean? I did grow up in the time of the 007. Everybody knows the 007 knives. You had the brass knuckle belts. I have carried that brass knuckle belt many a times, taking it off the belt. And if I felt that I was going to get into a situation where I might need it, this shit was in my front pocket. You know, think about it. If the guy's asking you to dip in your pocket to give him money, you come out with this thing wrapped around and you knock him upside his fucking head and the party's over. Now, the part that I'm talking about that's not physical fighting is the emotional fighting. It seems like stress leads to mass suicides or mass shootings. This generation suffers from more depression than a war generation. The mental health is in disarray at this particular time. So when a young man needs to learn how to fight, he needs to learn how to fight emotionally, spiritually, physically, and mentally. He needs to have all of the tools in his toolbox so that he can survive in this world that's trying to kill him, especially if he's a young black man. You got to be able to fight with your mouth because there are things called fighting words. Now, fighting words don't always lead to physical violence, but you're fighting for a reason. You're fighting for a cause. You're fighting for some kind of justice. And the way to do it might be intelligently stating your case. You look around, you don't have to rely on my word as gospel, because my word could be shit to you. But look around, explore YouTube, see who's talking, see where the state of rap is, where not even legible words are being spoken anymore. No form of English is even being sung in songs, and people are enjoying it because we have regressed instead of progressed. We have regressed to the point of almost nonsense, and it's ridiculous. I wish the young men knew how to fight better, because if they knew how to fight better, they'd be able to protect their women better. And I'm once again not talking about just physical. Now, if you want to take everything and boil it down to the lowest common denominator and you want to say it's all physicality, then you are free to do so. But when I am talking about a person who can fight, I already stated 2 or 3 times, I'm talking emotionally, physically, spiritually, and intellectually fighting. These are all forms of combat, and they don't involve weapons that come outside of your body. Now, I am pro-gun. I've said that many, many times. That is a last resort ditch effort. That means nothing else will work. It is now life and death, and you got to do what you got to do. But that is not first course of action. I'm not at war. I don't claim to be at war. I don't claim to be trying to act like a warrior on the battlefield. No, but it is nice to be able to handle your business at all times. I mean, and not sometimes, because that one time that you're not prepared to handle your business is the day to be your last day on this earth. Now, I'm going to move on with the rest of the show. I hope you thought about that. Once again, this wasn't a knock on all young men. This is not some old bitter dude who says my generation is better than yours because the generation before me told us the same shit. And the generation before them told them the same shit. And it goes on and on all the way back to the cave. And that's just the way the world works. So BJ Red McCombs died at the age of 95 years old. He used to own my San Antonio Spurs, the San Antonio Force, the Denver Nuggets, and the Minnesota Vikings. That's a long life. He sold the team a couple of years ago. On the 21st, Virginia voters elected Democrat Jennifer McClellan. She was a veteran in the state legislation for Richmond, Virginia, to an open seat in the U.S. House of Representatives, which will make her the very first Black woman to represent the state of Virginia in Congress. It took to 2023 for a Black woman to represent the state of Virginia in Congress. I guess we can call that some kind of progress, but some of this progress moves so slow, it's ridiculous. Believe it or not, Southern California had a blizzard. I mean, the weather was weird in some places this weekend. It was really insane. I feel for the people who were flash flooded. And if you see a flash flood, don't be one of those assholes who think that you can get from point A to point B, get that fucking car somewhere so that it's not, you don't damage the engine, that somebody don't have to go and make you look like a jackass and you make the news by being that idiot who had to be rescued in a car when you know all you have to do is sometimes wait it out. Think about this. There's a key word there called flash, meaning it was not going to last very long. Have a little patience. So this dickhead, Scott Adams, a total asshole and an imbecile, the dude who created, I guess, or he created Dilbert, the comic book strip. He is advocating that white people get the fuck away from Black people. He doesn't want to be called a racist, but he's a motherfucking racist because he identified all black people as being a member of hate groups. How the hell do we get all bunched in from some bullshit poll that we don't know how many people took? And I'd say that when you use a poll to generalize a people or group of people, you're using it as an excuse because all black people, no matter what, don't feel one way. We don't think one way. We don't pray one way. We don't eat the same foods. Why are we generalize so much that we're this one group of people like an ant farm that believes in one queen, one walk, one talk? We do not. You can meet 15 different black people, and I'm going to guarantee you just met 15 different black people. They're not going to be the same. They're not even going to have the same religion or likes. You know, and it's fucked up, man. That people keep continuing to throw themselves in the trash bin of life for no fucking reason. Nobody was thinking about this Scott Adams. And you know what? He offended me personally. I have never been, nor will ever be a part of what is called a hate group. And my nationality alone in this cocksucker's mind says that I'm a member of a hate group. He can go fuck himself. And anybody who feels like them, they can go fuck themselves too, because that's ridiculous, man. We don't be bothering everybody. Why the fuck we got to get bothered all the time? We mind our business. For the most part, most of us are out here minding our fucking business. He's coming up with bullshit like he used to identify as black. How is a clearly white American man identifying himself as black? And why is he doing that? What was his justification, or what's his mental illness to even consider? I never would put down on a form that I'm white. I am who I am, and that's all that I am. Fuck the pop out of sailor. I know you got that, but I am who I am, and that's all that I am. I don't claim to be Indian, Asian, Hispanic, or anything that I know that I'm not. So I don't understand why a white person would do that. And then he goes on to talk about YouTube, and he's tired of seeing black guys kicking some white guy's ass. Well, I already discussed, for the most part, those YouTube videos with black guys kicking white guys' ass or black guys fighting black guys, they're doing it wrong. They had lack skills. It's usually two imbeciles out there prancing, dancing, and throwing shitty punches, and one just happens to land on the other. We're not in masses out there when we're outnumbered in this country by an astronomical figure, just grabbing groups of white men and women and beating them up indiscriminately. That's a damn lie. He knows it. You know it if you listen to me. Everybody knows it. So Dustin Johnson, the golfer, and Adidas finally ended their 15-year relationship. Sergio Garcia also was thrown under the bus by Adidas. They're both now members of Live Golf, you know, the Saudi Arabia Golf League. Dustin Johnson, I still don't understand. He was so beloved in this country. He was so beloved on the PGA Tour. People tried to copy him. He could have one day probably been the logo, literally the logo of a golf swing, because it looks so beautiful when he does it. But now, because who he's tied to, people don't really want to deal with him. And I think more sponsors should drop these live golfers. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, you're free to go out there and make money any way you want. But when you get in bed with a country like Saudi Arabia, I don't think that you have the right to have American sponsorships. Major League Baseball spring training has started. And that's basically it. I just wanted to give you a heads up. If you really love baseball, I'm sure you already know the spring training has started. I don't get caught up in spring training. I wait for opening day, and then I hope and pray that my Yankees are healthy. Key word with the Yankees is always healthy. Somebody's always injured. I don't give a damn if it's Stanton, Judge. At the time, it was G-Bra, DJ LeMahieu was always injured. When we had Sanchez, he was always injured. I'm just hoping the Yankees a healthy season because I believe they have the talent to do what needs to be done. Brittney Griner, she resigned with the Philadelphia Mercury for 1 year, and I congratulate her on that. I congratulate her on being able to be in shape enough after spending all that time in a Russian prison and just being released in December, because we only still talking about February. I hope that she has a very successful season with the Mercury. I hope that even if this is her last season, she gets to collect her flowers as she goes from town to town, representing the spirit of America as a citizen who bounced back from tragedy, because this could have been really tragic. I'm glad that we were able to save her, from the grasp of the gulag. The Rams released Bobby Wagner, linebacker Bobby Wagner. He had played most of his career in Seattle. He played last year with the Rams. This dude is a 9-time All-Pro. 6 times on the first team, 3 times on the second team. I'm hoping like hell that he ends up in the Dallas Cowboys, but he doesn't do anything to mess up our calorie sap. I think that he still has a lot in the tank, at least a year or two, and that's all we really need out of a player like this to help out Micah Parsons, Van Der Esch. They can cut Van Der Esch and bring Bobby Wagner over. That would be a huge get. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. The UFC had a card this weekend. It wasn't really a good card. I was very disappointed. Ryan Spawn was supposed to fight Nikita Krylov. These are 2 light heavyweights, both contenders. I thought this was going to be a really good fight, but Krylov came down with food poisoning before the fight, so they had to move another fight into the main card. Me and my wife both sat down and agreed that this was not that good, so we gutted through it because we both love the UFC. We love seeing the best in the world fight, but this just was kind of boring. So I can't tell you to go back and watch this on rerun, but this weekend coming up from Las Vegas, Nevada, John Jones returns to fight Cyril Gane for the vacant UFC heavyweight championship. We have never seen John Jones at heavyweight. Cyril Gane was a former champion. This is a huge bout. I am expecting a huge raucous crowd. I think that people are going to be on fire. I can imagine the celebrities that will be in attendance from all over the sports and entertainment world. This is a pretty big deal. Valentina, the Bullet Shevchenko, is fighting Alexa Grasso for the U.S. Women's Flyweight Championship. Now, the Bullet has been the champion for quite a while. I really like Valentina a lot. I love her skill set. Alexa is a Mexican chick. She's got good hands. One thing you can see about a Mexican fighter, their boxing is always on excellent. And so I expect Valentina to use her legs. And by the way, I don't know about John Jones being able to handle the power of heavyweight. I think that Cyril Gane is definitely the lesser of the 2 when it comes to rounded fighters, but I believe that his power will play a part, and I got Cyril Gane actually winning this fight. So I'm also going to pick Valentina to beat Alexa for the UFC World Women Flyweight Championship. We got Bo Nickel, a guy who comes in with a lot of hype. He's fighting Jamie Pickett. We got Jeff Neal on this card. Jalen Turner is going to be on this card. Derek Brunson is fighting Darius Duplessis. Cody Galbert, who I believe is basically done. And hopefully Julio Arce will put him out to pasture. I believe that Cody had his time, but his time has come and went. Genia Peña's on this card. Dapica Ricci's on this card. Damon Blackishire is on this card. Amanda Ribas is on this card. Viviana Arroyo is on this card. So this is a loaded card from Vegas. I hope that you enjoyed it. It's a pay-per-view card, an ESPN Plus card. It starts 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because it's coming from Vegas. So you know what, you're going to have to pay to see this or catch this on a replay later. But I think that'd be well worth the money if you're into fighting. The Minnesota Timberwolves, Anthony Edwards, an all-star player. He spoke out about NBA players missing games. I applaud Mr. Anthony Edwards. If I could stand right now and clap, I am clapping in my brain for Mr. Anthony Edwards. He did not lie. He spoke 100% gospel. These players have to respect or should learn to respect the fact that people are saving money to see their favorite players. They're bringing their kids. They have to pay for parking, food. I talked about this last week on my show. He just confirmed what I said. If you go back and listen to my NBA section on last week's show, you could see that I'm not lying. I spoke out about this before Mr. Anthony, but it's the truth. You don't know what a person has to do to make it to an NBA game. And even if you sit in the worst seats in an arena and it's 4 of you, it's going to cost you like $280 between concession and tickets. And say it's your little boy and he wants that one time to see LeBron. And instead, LeBron is sitting on his ass with Anthony Davis, both of them 100% healthy, but they're claiming that they need a day off. They need a day off where they get paid in excess to $300,000 to $500,000 per day to play a game. I know it's a tough game for big men, strong men. There's a lot of banging and bumping, but this is not football. Nobody's being tackled. This is basketball. And come to think about basketball, the season is heating up because we get into that last third quarter of the season, pushing to go to the playoffs. And my big games of the week is you got the Celtics versus the Knicks. Celtics best record in the East versus the Knicks, who have really surprised me this season. You got the Heat versus the 76ers. Tuesday, you got the Lakers versus the Grizzlies. The Lakers came back from 27 down last night to beat the Nuggets, which was disgusting. The Mavericks. It was disgusting that the Mavericks allowed this, but the Lakers fought, and they are on a little streak. People starting to believe in them. But John Moran is coming off a pretty bad game, and he's home. So hopefully he could slow that Lakers train. Then you got the Timberwolves versus the Clippers. Wednesday, you got the Pelicans versus the Trailblazers. The Pelicans more than likely will still be without Zion Williams, but the Trailblazers will have Damian Lillard, who just scored 71 points in a game yesterday. So Dame time is for real. It's firing on all cylinders, and let's see how that turns out. 76ers then played the Mavericks on Thursday. The Mavs need to get some wins. Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving need to get some wins, man. They have to turn this around. You got the Clippers versus the Golden State Warriors, who still should be without Steph Curry. Friday, you got the Knicks versus the Heat. Every game for the Knicks is very important because it can push them further up in the standings. And then you got the Grizz versus the Nuggets. The Nuggets are the best team in basketball right now. They are playing great ball. The Joker is the MVP for the third year in a row if the season was to end today. Then you got the Timberwolves versus the Lakers. Saturday, you got the Raptors versus the Wizards. Sunday, you got the Suns versus the Mavs. You also have Golden State Warriors versus the Lakers and the Grizz versus the Clippers. And that rounds out what I think are the biggest games of the week. I was supposed to do a show about the NBA. Somebody was going to call in who I consider to be a basketball aficionado, but they haven't done it, so I'm not going to put any pressure on anybody to ever call in. That's on an individual. It's not my job to push people to call into Strange Talk with Doc. But if they say they want to, the line is open. The line is open to you if you want to discuss something with me. I do not discriminate. I do not care about the subject. You can hit me up early and let me know what you want to talk about, or you can blindside me at the last minute and say, hey, I called in and this is what I would like to discuss with you, and let's get at it because I thought you were right about this, or I thought you was wrong about this subject, and I want to confront you. I'm not scared of confrontation because remember what I said earlier. You got to be able to fight mentally, emotionally, physically, verbally. These are things that must be in your tool belt. If you have a tool belt with no tools in it, it's just a big, ugly leather fucking belt. And there's no reason to wear it. You ever seen anybody with a tool belt with no tools in it? Probably not. More than likely, you've never seen that situation. So if you don't know how to fight, learn how to fight. Get some skills. Brush up. Go to somebody who can teach you. Get a coach of some sort. Get somebody who's going to help you out mentally. Somebody who's going to help you with if you're having emotional problems, if you're having physical issues, a trainer. I don't give a damn what you got to do. Don't be one of those people who have no skills whatsoever in any form of fighting and then expect to go through this life and not be challenged, not be beaten, not be bullied. It won't happen. You're going to be challenged, and how you handle the challenge also usually deals with how much heart, strength, and technique and skills that you have. So I wish you the very best. I wish that you're nobody's pushover any day of the week and twice on Sunday. I hope that you fight for your family and you fight for yourself and you fight to do what's right at all times. And I'm going to say, like I always say to you, peace to you and peace to yours.